everyone, and welcome to the Red Brick House. Today I am back with another Christmas slow stitch ornament, and today's ornament is going to be a reindeer. It's very iconic Christmas to me, and it's just pretty much my favorite Christmas decoration is decorating with reindeers or deers in general, but you know, specifically for Christmas I love reindeers. So I'm going to be doing some intricate embroidery work on this one, a little bit more decorative than the last two that I did, and so I hope you enjoy it. Feel free to stitch along with me, and let's get started. Okay, let me show you what I've done here. I have this beautiful reindeer. Now this was a pattern that I purchased. It was a Cricut seller and I bought it a couple of years ago, so I'm really not sure where, you know, like the name where I've got it. I might try to find it in an old email or something, but I love this reindeer. I think it's beautiful. But one thing to think about if you're going to make ornaments like this is that, you know, think about how you're going to cut it out, because the more intricate it is, like through these horns here, the harder it is to cut out, and even between these legs. So what I did to avoid cutting out two of them, because I didn't want to have to cut out these antlers twice, and I thought it might be hard to do them out of the felt. So I cut those two pieces apart. You can see right here where I've detached them. And then I cut the deer out of the felt. So I have it right here. And what I did is I pinned it down, I pinned the paper down to the felt, and I cut these out individually. I cut two of them, and they're not exactly the same, but they're close enough. They'll work together. Like here, my hooves are a little bit off, but that's okay. But I used these scissors here. Now, I love these scissors. They're small enough for projects like this. They're really sharp. They have a really pointy tip here. And yet they're not too small like embroidery scissors that are, you know, super tiny. My sister purchased these for me off of Amazon. I don't know the name of them, but they are the perfect size for projects like this. And they work really well as far as like getting in these little corners like this. So all I did was kind of come up on the paper and cut that way, and then I had to come up and cut this way, and that's what I did in these legs here. And that really helped me, and I really just took my time, or I knew I was going to get frustrated, but it's kind of hard. These things are kind of hard to cut out, you know, turning it and putting the fabric all the way up here on your scissors and trying to turn. So instead of turning it, that's just how I did it. And it made it a lot easier. And so to avoid having to cut out two of these antlers, I'm just cutting out one. And I cut them out of this really shiny felt. So let me show you here. This is just like a, oh, what's that called? Like a synthetic felt. Just, you know, the cheapy kind you get at any craft store. And this one has this coating on top. It's very beautiful. It's a coppery color. I don't know how well it shows up on camera, but it scuffs up super easily. So I even had to look at the store, you know, 2 or 3 different sheets of this to find one that was not kind of messed up. And I messed this one up when I cut out some wings for an angel that I'm going to do, I think next week it's coming. And I realized I did this by accident. You can kind of see where I made some lines there. But it also gave me an idea after this happened. I was like, oh no, I kind of ruined it. But then I realized, oh, I could cut these antlers out of here. And all I need to do is trace it with a pencil, because that's how this happened. I had taken a wing off of my angel and put it on here, and I traced around it with a pencil, and it made these like engravings. So that's what I did with this. I just laid my paper on top of here, and I held it the best I could, and I just gently, I mean, I didn't even have to do it hard. I mean, like this stuff, it kind of roughs up really easy. So I just kind of traced it like that, and then I cut it out. Same way with these scissors, I just went slow and methodical and cut them out. And now, like I said, I'm only doing one. This is pretty stiff. It's much stiffer with this coating on it than this kind of felt here, which is very soft and kind of, you know, it's drapey. So what I'm planning to do, if this is not stiff enough, and I think it will be once I get it on my deer here like this, I'm going to put it back on, you know, like that. I wish I would have made this longer so I had a piece to tuck between these two pieces of fabric, but it will kind of be like that. And I mean, just holding it like this, it holds up straight. You know, it's not falling over. I know it's hard to see with this background. Let me move that out of the way. So you can kind of see, like I'm holding it up and it's not flopping over. So I think it's going to be okay like that. That's my plan. I'm planning to just leave it like this. I'm not going to stitch on these antlers, although you could if you wanted to. So that's how I did that and how I got to where I am here. So I'm going to put all these pieces aside. And I'm going to take my little reindeer. I'm going to take the two pieces apart. I'm not going to decorate the back. That's what I've been doing this whole time. I've only been decorating the front of my little ornament here. I'm not going to decorate this one, so I'll put it aside too. And now we get to start stitching on this little deer. Now, what I have planned for this, I kind of already have an idea. And what I want to do is I want to just fill in this whole deer with different colors. I don't think I'm going to use these shiny colors because I want those antlers to really stand out. So I don't think I'm going to use these metallics this time, although they would be beautiful. But I'm going to use some of these other colors I have here, maybe a dark. I'm going to use just all different colors. And I am going to fill this entire body of this reindeer. Now, I don't know about the legs yet, but I just want to fill it with flowers. I want to just cover the whole thing in just a beautiful flower texture. All like different kinds of flowers. However I can make a flower. It doesn't have to be a lazy daisy, but whatever kind of flower I can make with stitching, I'm going to do. And I'm just going to mix them up as well as the colors. And I think it's just going to be really cute. At least in my head, it's really cute. So I'm going to start I'm going to start with this dark color. And I'll get my needle threaded and we'll get started stitching. Okay, I am going to start out with a lazy daisy. I want a really big flower, like maybe right here on the deer's backside right here on the flank. I'm going to put like a big flower right here and then other little flowers around it. So I'm not going to do, I'm not going to draw it on. I hope that is not a bad thing. I thought about drawing it on, but I'm just going to wing it. I really want this to be not necessarily a planned out thing. Well, I want a bigger petal than that. Hold on. Okay, so maybe that will be my center there, and then I'll start here because let's see, I want it about that big. I want to make sure that I have enough room. I might do it over there first. You can put your flower where however you want. I want to make sure I'm not too close to the edge. So I'm going to come up right there. I've got 2 strands in my needle. So I'm going to turn it upside down. Then that will be my petal. I do want kind of a thin petals like that for this flower. Then I'm going to come back down to lock it in place, just like that. I'm going to move all this stuff out of my background because I may even move this mat because I've learned in filming that sometimes that is what makes the camera go in and out. So let me do that. I'm going to move this mat so that my camera doesn't keep going blurry because it's trying to focus on different things in my background. Okay, hopefully that's better. Now I'm just going to keep going around and making these petals. I'm going to go back to the center here, working my way around. And at the end, I think I'm going to put a French knot in the middle. Okay, now I'm going to come up really close to where this other petal is. Maybe about right there. My thread is twisted, so I'm going to untwist that. There we go. And I'm going to bring that up. It's kind of hard not to over pull it. I'm trying really hard. I am a beginner at this. In case you have, this is the first time you're watching my videos, I'm a beginner embroiderer. And so I think maybe I need to go this direction. Maybe. It feels unnatural making my petals in that direction. So I'm going to try it this way. I think I'm pulling that too tight too. Okay, I'm going to go back down. And then this one I'm going to bring up. I want this to be very organic, so we're not really worried if these petals are not all the same length and that kind of thing. There we go. See, that one's much shorter, but that's okay. They're kind of leaning one direction. But that's okay. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to make a little flower. I'll come back when I do the middle part. Okay, so that is my first ever lazy daisy. It's a little wonky, but I'm not worried about that. Because flowers are not always perfect anyway, because things in nature aren't always like perfect. So it's okay. I also made some of these, which are like just super duper simple little, they can be flowers. I'm going to put a little dot in the middle, so at the end I think it'll kind of look like a flower. It also kind of looks like a snowflake or a little starburst. I put one on this leg because I thought those would be kind of good on the legs. And so I'll do one here with you because the legs are so small and thin that I don't know really how to decorate them. So I'm probably not going to put a lot of decoration on them. But I just make some straight lines with the straight stitch. And this really matches this little reindeer. This color that I'm using right now, it is very similar. So I hope you can see what I'm doing here. I just made a cross stitch. And I'm just going to make another series of cross stitches over top of that. So I made a crisscross, like a plus. And I think I have a knot. What's going on? Do I have a knot? Maybe, oh, it pulled through because it's so small. Okay. So I'm going to go there. Maybe I'll show you again with a different color, but these are very simple to make. Actually, I think I'm just going to leave. Well, no, I'll put one more. It's just so close to the edge of this felt. I don't know if it will hold. We'll see here. Okay, and there is another little stitch just to give it some texture. It doesn't show up very bright, but that's okay. So I'm going to tie that off since it's way down here. And then I'm just going to make some more lazy daisies using this color. And then I'm going to try maybe some different flower stitches or different ways to make flowery type shapes on here. They might not all be flowers, but I do think it would be cute if they were. If they were all just, even if they were just these two little things. if they were just lazy daisies and those in different colors all over, I still think it would be really cute. So I'm just going to keep making those and we'll see kind of how it turns out. Okay, I've made a little more progress. I did a big lazy daisy right here, and then I started making these little flowers. And I don't know if this is like similar to like a wagon wheel kind of embroidery. I don't know if that's an actual stitch or not, but all I'm doing is I'll put one, let's put one, maybe one right here. And what I've been doing, no, maybe I want it right there. Okay, so I'm gonna bring my needle up right there, and that's gonna be the center of this little flower. And then I'm just gonna go around in a circle using straight stitches. Every time I'm gonna come back to the middle again. And I'm going to just keep going around. Now you can do this as full as you want to, or you can make it only with a few, but it looks a little bit different than kind of the snowflakey asterisk kind of this one right here. It looks a little bit different than that one. It's similar, but it is a little bit different. So I'm just coming back to the middle every time and then going out. And it's making for a nice little flower. Now I had thought about coming back at the end and putting some little French knots on the ends of these. Like that might be fun to do. Give it a little dot on the end. But I'm just playing around and just really having fun with this. And I think that makes slow stitching very enjoyable. To just play around with it and see what you can do. You know, I'm like, I call myself a recovering type A personality because I really want to be a person who can think outside of the box, you know, but I put myself in a box all the time. I watched a wonderful lady here on YouTube. I just found her, like she just showed up in my feed, and she makes lots of different crafts like I do. And she was doing some like a crazy quilt kind of bag, and she was talking about just making it up. I'm just making up my own stitches. And I've always, you know, my type A, I'm like, oh, I've got to do a specific stitch, you know, that's just what you're supposed to do, you know, in my head. And I'm like, why not? Why can you not just make up your own stitch as you go? I mean, it might be something that's already an actual stitch, but you can make variations of those stitches and call them your own, I think. And so I thought that was very funny. So that is my inspiration today. I could go and Google embroidery stitches for flowers, but I don't want to. I really just want to kind of make up my own thing and see what happens, because it's fun to do that sometimes. So I'm just going to keep making more flowers on this little deer. I'll come back when I have more progress made. Okay, so I'll just give you a little close-up view here of how it's looking. So I did some different variations on the Lazy Daisy. You can really control how thin or plump you want your little petals to be. So here I did 5 instead of like a whole bunch like I did on this one. And then here I just did 4. And this one I was like, oh, that's really wonky. And then I looked at it and I was like, oh, it looks kind of like a butterfly. So we're just going to go with that. I'm going to put a little body here in the center and it'll just be the one butterfly that's on here. But I did some other 4-petaled ones, like right there. It's like kind of a pinwheel kind of flower. So now I'm going to come in and I'm going to put some French knots in the center of my flowers. I did one right there. Now I'm going to do this one right here. And on that one I did 3. And on this one, hopefully I can get away with 1. I'm going to wrap it around about 5 times. And we'll see how it goes. There we go. So I think it looks good. I think it can get away with 1. Now sometimes my threads didn't stay together and they look a little bit wonky like that. So I think I made them a little bit too loose. But that's okay. For my first time making these flowers, I didn't think it was too bad. Okay, now I've finished all my flowers and I am going to just go around the edges of my deer here. I've pinned it all together. I have the 2 sides together. I'm just going to do a simple running stitch. I'm starting right here and I'm going to go all the way around. I'm going to stop when I get up here at the top so I can put the antlers in. And then I also have this little tie, or it's a ribbon. It's a wired ribbon. I mentioned it in my last handmade video where I stitched the bird. It's the same thing. It's just a wired gold ribbon, and I have taken, oh, it's probably about 14, 15 inches maybe, and I'm just going to crisscross it like that, and I'm going to put it in here. I'm not sure where I'm going to put it yet. I might do it down here at the back since I have to put the antlers up here, or I might put all of them together, but I'm afraid it would hang like that at an angle, which actually that would kind of look like it's flying if I did it like that. It might sit like that, so that might be fun. I'm not sure yet. I'll make that decision when I get there. So when I get up to the top, I will come back to you and show you how I'm doing that. But for now, I'm just going to, like I said, do a really simple runny stitch. Now I keep making the same mistake over and over. Maybe I am crazy. I meant to put my knot. In fact, I'm going to fix it because I haven't made any stitches yet. I want my knot to go in between these fabrics instead of being at the back. Now, the way it's going to hang on the tree, nobody would notice it anyway, I don't think. But if you're making these to give away, you know, you want to make sure that it's done nicely. So I think it would just look a little bit better if it is in between the layers of fabric. So I'm going to start over here and I'm going to come right up here on the edge of my fabric. I have 2 strands in my needle. I also have a color that matches my felt here because I don't want these stitches to stand out. Now, if you were doing a decorative blanket stitch or something like that, you might want it to stand out. So that is completely up to you and how you want to design your craft. So I'm going to get started here. I'm going to go all the way around. I'm going to take my time, make really small stitches, and I will meet back up with you when I get up here to the top. Okay, I have decided that I'm going to put the antlers and this ribbon as my holder for the ornament all up here in the head, and I think that's going to be pretty fiddly. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to do it. I'm going to narrow this like crisscross that I have here, so I'm going to pull it pretty narrow so that these kind of go downward. It really helps to have a wired ribbon in doing that, but it is doable. Another thing I would suggest is to, you could stitch this before you try to put it in here, and that would help for it to not be so fiddly as well. I think actually I'm going to trim these off a little bit, so just a tad, because they're a little bit long to put into this deer head here. Okay, so I'm going to just slide those in there between these 2 fabrics. want them to crisscross underneath so that you can't see it. Right there. Okay. So now that I have that in place, like that, I'm not going to let go of it. And then I'm going to put the antlers over top of that. So now if you have a reindeer where your antlers are attached, you don't have to do this. You don't need to worry about it. But I'm going to put the antlers right there. I really think they maybe should go back a little further. I'm going to move this back a little bit. It's just going to take some moving around, try to decide how it looks the best. There. I think that looks pretty good. If you can see that there. So I really would like to pin this, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to. So I'm just going to hold it really tight and make sure it looks okay on the back, because you don't want it to be looking crazy on the back either. Okay, so it looks good on both sides. I'm going to keep stitching here. Doing my running stitch. I am doing like a stab stitch, like one stitch at a time, because it's just easier for me right now with this project until I get to maybe a more flat area. But that's how I've been doing it. And so now I can tell that I'm meeting some resistance. I'm starting to go through these layers. I'm going to have to turn it around and look at it to make sure that I really would like to go, I'm sorry you can't see, I really want to go through all of these layers. So I'm going to go right there, and hopefully, hopefully, I'll check it here in a minute. Hopefully we got all of them there. Now I'm going to go back through it again. You could go over this 2 or 3 times, you know, if you need to make sure that it's secure. But I think it will be okay as I'm going through each thing here. Now it's kind of getting away from me. There we go. Okay. Now after I get over here to the ear, I am going to check and make sure that I've gone through all of these things and that they're all held together. So maybe one more stitch here. Uh-oh. Okay, now let's check it to make sure. I think it's all good. Now it's not the prettiest stitching here on the back, but that's okay as long as it's like nothing's falling out. I'm pulling on the ribbon, nothing's coming out. So I think it's good. Okay, so now I'm just going to continue to go around on my deer. I'm just going to continue that running stitch all the way around until I get to about right here. And then I'm going to put a tiny bit of stuffing in here, and not much, the same way that I did the bird. I really liked the look of that bird. And so when I get back to the stuffing area, I will stop and show you how I do that. I did demonstrate a lot of these things in the first, the little embroidered bird that I made, the first video in this series. So I don't know going forward if I'm going to explain it every time or show it every time. I might just refer back, you know, to the first video. But if you're stumbling across this video and you haven't watched the other one, I will show it again here with this one, and then after that I probably won't with the next 2. Okay, I have made it all the way around the reindeer now, and I'm ready to put in my stuffing. So I'm just using a little bit of polyfill filling here. This is just some leftovers I had from another project. I'm using a very, very small amount, and I'm just going to do a little bit at a time. And I have a pin here that I can kind of push it in there with. And I just want a little bit, not a lot, just a tiny amount. And that will help to make this reindeer a little bit more stiff. And you don't have to stuff it. You could stitch the two together, but and it would be okay. But I do think it's a little bit floppy. It depends on probably the kind of felt that you have. And you could probably stabilize the felt also with maybe using an interfacing, or maybe you could use, I thought about with this right here, with his antlers, I had thought about using some liquid glue, just some school glue, and adding some water to it, kind of like you would do like paper mache, and just kind of going over it and seeing if that would make it stiffer. But I think in my case that I think it's okay. I think his antlers are going to be just fine. I want to add a little more up into the head if I can get it up in there. I was sitting here, I have a funny little story. I was sitting here stitching up this reindeer, and I have the windows open because it's such a nice day outside, and I heard a woodpecker, which we have some red-bellied woodpeckers that live close by here to us, and I was hearing one chirping and calling out there, and then I heard another noise, and I thought that's a strange noise for the woodpecker to make. And then I realized it wasn't a woodpecker, that it was a squirrel chattering, chirping at something. So I had to go outside and see what the squirrel was mad about. We have a neighborhood cat that, well, it's my neighbor's cat, that comes into our yard sometimes, and because I like to feed the birds and the squirrels. I love cats, but I don't like cats stalking my bird feeders or bothering the squirrels that, you know, come down to eat too. And so I had to go make sure that it wasn't the cat in the yard, and I did not see the culprit. I think it was in the yard beside us. I don't think it was in our yard, so I don't know. I don't know what the squirrel was upset about, but it was upset about something out there. Oh, it's kind of funny. Okay, so now I'm ready to stitch this up. And I'm going to pull that tight because it's kind of gotten loose while I was stuffing it. I'm just going to continue to do my running stitch up into the end until I have it all sewn together, and I'll show you the final result. I think it's really cute. Okay, it's all finished. Let me show you a close-up. So I'll just start up here with the antlers. I had so much fun making this. This is the first time, like I said, that I've made these different types of flowers like this, and it was so fun. I really enjoyed it. Let me know if you're making homemade ornaments or handmade ornaments for the Christmas season, and let me know what you're making. I would love to know. I'm always wanting new ideas on things to make. I really like how these are turning out, and let me know if you stitched along with me. I would love to hear that. These aren't really meant for a tutorial, but I mean, I'm doing pretty simple things, the most simplest things that I can do as a beginner embroiderer to practice my skills and to learn new ones too. And so with that said, thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed these videos, give me a like. Please subscribe if you want to see more of these. I have 2 more handmade ornaments coming this Christmas. So stay tuned for that if you're interested, and I will see you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.